Assalamu alaikum, family. I am here with 101 Muslim stories. I am your host, Godfrey Brunn, and I'm here to bring you guys some amazing stories from different Muslims in America. And today I am honored and privileged to have our guest, Amari Bakir. Did I pronounce that right?
Close, Amira Bakir.
Amira Bakir. Sorry, my apologies. I'm just the worst with pronunciation. So people be with me in this journey of learning my grammatical structure. so Amir, we're here with you, and we wanted to kind of get a brief background of you and some of your life's not struggles, but some of your life's journeys as a Muslim in America. And I had a few questions that I wanted to ask you, and we can go into those. So if you don't mind, tell us about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Amira. I am a first generation Muslim American, Algerian American. Too many adjectives. You never know what order to put them in. But those are some of the things that I am. So my family actually moved here from Algeria when I was just a few months old in May of 1996. Mm-hmm. And we immigrated to one of the most amazing cities in the world. So I had the privilege of growing up in New York City. And that was really incredible. And then, so I was about actually 5 years old when September 11 happened.
Wow.
And I was attending an Islamic school. Yeah. And, I was old enough to remember, I didn't understand everything that was going on, but, I remember, and being in New York, being so close, we were picked up early that day and could see smoke and everything. So
yeah,
one of our earliest memories, definitely, an American tragedy, and it's definitely
Absolutely.
shaped my experience as a Muslim in America, coming up after that incident. But alhamdulillah, my family, we fled our country because there was a civil war. And then we went back when I was about 10 years old. We stayed there for a year. It didn't work out for various reasons. So we ended up back in New York, and then we bought a home in North Jersey. Alhamdulillah. I attended high school there. And then I had a pretty normal, very fun, typical American childhood, going to amusement parks and, Labor Day circuses and festivals. And
nice.
And then when it was time for me to decide where to go to college, I decided on studying public health. So I pursued my education at George Washington University. So I did my bachelor's in public health there. Nice. And then I was very close, inshallah, actually about a month away from finishing up my master's from the same school. So yes, so close.
Awesome. Yeah. What an amazing story. That's awesome. So you had a few trials and tribulations as a Muslim, and you are Muslim born, correct?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So not a convert, but someone who was born into Islam, and someone who grew up with Islam and had, the aspects of living in another country and then coming here to America and getting to kind of see some of the I guess beautiful parts and then not so much beautiful parts on that side of Islam, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say that I grew up in a conservative family. I mean, pray 5 times a day, fast, with charity. Lovely. Like Islam was definitely a very noticeable and present part of our family dynamic and structure. And I think it's where my parents got a lot of their parenting values from. But I'd also have to say that, being in America, so I say I'm Muslim born, alhamdulillah, but I would also say that I chose to stay Muslim. Absolutely. Because there's definitely a period, later in high school and then throughout college where, you just meet so many different people, and Islam is under so much national and global scrutiny that, I think anybody who identifies as a Muslim, comes to a point, at least in modern day, where you really have to ask yourself, what do I believe? Does it match what people say about me, what people think about me? And to that process of reconciliation, I think it puts even most natural born Muslims in a position where you choose, whether to continue belonging to the faith, and then you also choose how you're going to practice this faith. How is it really going to be something that you make a part of your identity?
I absolutely love that. And that's a very, very valid point. You said staying, remaining a Muslim. A lot of times, because I was a convert. So a lot of times we grow up in a religion that our parents chose for us. And it takes a lot for us to choose to stay in the religion that we believe in, that we wholeheartedly believe in. And I mentioned bad parts of Islam. I didn't mean bad as there's negatives. I mean, you know, with the American experience of 9/11 and kind of going with that, because I know there's a lot of Muslims out there who kind of felt with that period, there was a lot of persecution and a lot of you know, anger and violence towards Muslims. So that's kind of where I meant with both sides, where you can kind of see, you saw all the beauty of Islam from birth, but then you saw kind of some of the way America kind of treated us. So that's awesome. I absolutely love that. That's beautiful. I do have a question. You mentioned college. Would you mind giving us a little bit of insight on some of your schoolings, and then some of your day-to-day lives, some of your hobbies and things like that?
Yeah, not at all. So I was a very busy kid. I kept myself busy. My immigrant parents didn't put us in too many activities, so that was my own personal undertaking from a young age. But I mentioned that I attended a private Islamic school when I was, pre-K up until about third grade. I did 1 year of school in a private academy back home in Algeria.
Okay.
And then we came back. I did high school, public high school, North Jersey. And then and I went to GW for college. At GW, I think one of the biggest reasons why I chose to go to GW is really because I would be in DC, and I felt like I would be in the heart of it all. To go from New York to DC, I felt like that was, it couldn't get any better.
Yeah.
And I just, oh my God, like GW opened my eyes to everything. I did too much as an undergrad. I did not sleep enough, but I can survive with a little bit more than a little bit less on my plate. So
yes.
I was part of a women's leadership program, which I mentored, and then I later became a teaching assistant for as a graduate student. So that was like a beautiful full circle kind of experience.
Wow.
That, and then to be able to give back. I was active with the Muslim Student Association. I established an interfaith council. I worked as a writing consultant for 3 years for the university.
Wow.
That was one of my favorite jobs. What else did I do? I did a lot of student administration, liaisoning, just giving perspectives about issues that the students were experiencing in terms of diversity and inclusion, being a facilitator for the university to head towards a more inclusive environment. And interfaith was really my big thing. I was really fortunate to actually my senior year of undergrad, I had an opportunity to travel to Palestine with a group of student leaders. And that was incredible. And just all the conversations we had on that trip were really, really formidable.
That is amazing. Wow. So you are very well traveled and very well versed. And that's life experience. I don't care what anybody says. That's on multiple levels. That's just different levels of life experience. Being able to travel and do it in passionate places that you love, with Islam and things like that. That's beautiful. That is awesome. That's so, it's inspiring. So let me ask you one other question. This is a little offbeat, but if you had one superpower that you can choose, what would it be?
So, I thought about this for a while before, and I was like, oh man, people are going to judge you. Like, forget all the other content from the interview. People are going to really judge you by the superpower that you choose.
It's literally that important.
It's that important, and I thought about something that serves humanity, and there's that version, but I'm going to be a little bit selfish with this one and say that if I could have any superpower, it would definitely be to understand and communicate with animals. Because I think, and there's a legacy of that with our prophet Sulaiman, but it's not that original. But I just think they're so incredible. I ride horses, and nice. I think they're just some of the most complex and spiritual creatures that share the earth with us. And I feel like we're missing out. I also have cats. My family's big cat lovers and dog lovers, and I just feel like there's this dimension of life that we're just missing because we have no idea what goes on in their heads.
Only imagine.
So I would love to understand animals and to be able to communicate with them.
That's a very good, that's a Dr. Dolittle, Aquawoman type power. That's actually really good. I didn't think about that one. That would be an actually really interesting power, because I could imagine if you could understand or talk to bees and just say, or a wasp, and say, hey, why are you trying to attack me, please?
Yes, I didn't even think about the practical implications. You're right. You'd have a premonition before you get kicked off the horse, before you get off the bee. You're right. There's a practical application to that too.
Absolutely, many levels to that one. I like that. That's a very good one. I'm starting to rethink my superpower. So I had one more major question for you, and this is, I think, a very good this is going to be a good question for Muslims, non-Muslims, all the same. If there's one thing about Islam that you want people in America to know, what would that be? That's something that you don't think many people know.
Right. So many things, but if I had to boil it down to one, I would say it seems really simple. And I think it actually applies to all organized religion. It doesn't just apply specifically to Islam. But I would hope, I would want to communicate to people this idea that religion is not, and Islam specifically, it's not just this prescribed list of do's and don'ts. And I think that non-Muslims are victim to this kind of thinking just as much as Muslims are sometimes. It's not just this prescribed list of these are things you do, these are things you're not allowed to do, right? And I think it's that very authoritative language that tends to remove agency from people, because something that I struggle with a lot, just as a hijabi, is really the main example I can think of is, I encounter people who, I mentioned all the wonderful things I had the blessing to be a part of, in college and in the life I've led so far. Absolutely. And it always amazes me when I encounter people who, in those spaces that are, we're surrounded by incredibly accomplished and creative minds. And people seem to be more disturbed and concerned and uncomfortable by the fact that I wear hijab as a modern day accomplished woman than I go. And I've really had people go out of their way in the women's leadership program that I attended, as a student and then later as a TA, to tell me, as if I was waiting for their permission that, you don't have to wear that here. I know your parents came from a different country, you don't have to do that. And I was like, what? I really do feel like there's this fundamental assumption that Muslims are leading these passive lives, that they just do what they quote unquote have to do so they don't get kicked out of their religion. And I think it's a very dangerous way of thinking, when you approach people, because the only way we can hold each other accountable in society is to come from this fundamental place where we realize we all have choices that we can make in our lives. Absolutely. And we are responsible for the choices we make. And so I guess this is a really long-winded answer, but the thing that I would want—
No, you're good. I love it.
The thing I would want people to understand is really to just be aware of their own biases about, Muslims not really choosing their own lifestyles, and to realize that religion, just like there are so many other belief systems and value systems in the world. There are economic value systems. I mean, capitalism, people have a capitalist
Absolutely.
work ethic. They're subscribing to an authoritative system that they're not even that conscious about, even secularism can be very dogmatic, when it's just practiced as this anti-religion, anti-organized religion. And I think the thing that I would want people to understand is really to realize that anything can be dogmatic, and that Islam is not necessarily that way, and that people who practice Islam have agency and they have choice, and that, ultimately we can all agree that Islam is this system perhaps that Muslims derive some of, if not most of, their values and principles from. But then the way that they ultimately apply those principles in their life are going to be, first of all, you choose, there's an element of choice. Then there's an element of interpretation. There's an element of filtering those interpretations through your own lived and shared experiences. And so at
Absolutely.
the end of the day, whatever version of Islam you subscribe to or practice or embody, there's a lot of choice and agency in that. And I would just, my wish is that as people start to rethink the way that Muslims live their lives and how they interact with society, they just recognize and appreciate, and that they're willing to engage with and have conversations about choice and agency. And it's not just this, she wears hijab because she's going to get kicked out of her religion. Like there's the membership, yeah.
They're going to revoke your membership if you don't wear it. Exactly.
I was going to revoke there's the Islamic DMV apparently. But yeah, that's my hope.
I love that.
One of my biggest frustrations, quite honestly.
No, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. And that's a very valid point. People trying implies intent to fail. Do your best to understand that people have different life experiences and different belief structures and things of this nature. And this is one of the core values. I think, like you said, this is something that no matter what belief you believe in, whether you believe in football on Sunday or Islam 5 times a day, everyone has a different belief structure. And I think that's a very valid point that you made. I love it. So this concludes our interview for today. I want to thank you so very much for coming on and giving us your perspectives and giving us your life experiences and sharing a little bit of you. Is there any last, like, anything you want to promote, anything you want to like shout out, anything you're doing that you want to kind of let?
We're great. I asked for prayers, I'm in the home stretch. So if y'all see this
Yes.
video in time, pray for me. I can finish up my master's on a strong note. It's been a long
Yes.
haul, getting married, taking time off, but alhamdulillah, everything's good. And then I want to thank you for this opportunity. And then I just want to share my excitement for all the other stories. I can't wait to see the final product.
I'm looking for, it's going to be amazing. We're going to have, this is going to be one of our spotlights, and I am excited about everyone truly getting to understand our sisters and our brothers, and just having it all out there, guys. So again, this is Godfrey Brunn with 101 Muslim American Stories. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you, sister.
All right, salam.
Salam.